Just because you're small doesn't mean they are not out to get you. They take your company hostage. They take your data hostage. They're trying to cause you as much pain as possible so that they can get your money. So the fact is, approximately 60% of small businesses who suffer a breach will not survive. CEOs need to realize that this is a major business risk. In business, a single department cannot be responsible for security. We need a company-wide security culture if we're going to combat these criminals. You're not too small to be hacked. You're just too small to make it on the news. If I can leave you with just one thing, deciding not to decide, you still made a choice.
Welcome back. Next up, I'm going to hand it over to professional speaker, author, and business coach Dave D. He's interviewing top cybersecurity expert James Evans from American Frontier, talking about the new breed of cyber criminals and what you can do to protect your business.
Hey, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. And welcome everybody to this special presentation, The New Breed of Cyber Criminal and What You Can Do to Protect Yourself and Your Organization. My name's Dave D, and I'm your host. And my special guest is one of the country's leading cybersecurity experts, James Evans, who is the founder and CEO of American Frontier. And I'm going to be asking James about the biggest misconceptions that we have as business owners about cybersecurity. We're going to be talking about how AI is emboldening the new breed of cyber criminal and what we can do to protect our companies. And we're also going to be diving into the true costs of a cyber attack and how to mitigate those. So let's get started by welcoming to the show, James Evans.
Hey, Dave, great to be here.
So before we dive into this crucial topic, I do think it's important that folks know a little bit about you and about your company. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, sure thing, Dave. You know, as you said, my name is James Evans, and I'm the founder and CEO of American Frontier. We're an IT and cybersecurity company. We're based in Apex, North Carolina, just outside of Raleigh. And we've got a pretty simple mission, and that's to protect the livelihoods of our clients. And while we can help any business owner in any industry, our focus is on the businesses that build America. So that includes engineers, architects, construction, manufacturing, folks like that. And it's all about protecting those livelihoods.
Fantastic. So let's dive into this because you say that there's a most dangerous lie that our viewers might be believing that could be putting their organizations at risk. What is that most dangerous lie?
Yeah, absolutely. The most dangerous lie is my business is too small for cyber criminals to care about. You know, people don't want our stuff. We're small businesses. But the reality is, your small business is more likely to be hacked than a large business. 1 in 5 small businesses fall victim to cybercrime every year, and that number's growing. The new breed of drive-by hackers, as I like to call them, they're not looking for you as their main target. They're going to come in, they're going to do a lot of damage, they're going to cost you a lot of money and move on, but they're trying to use you to go higher up the food chain to reach a better target, maybe a vendor, maybe your client, but you're just a means to an end.
Wow. So that's really fascinating. Why is it? Let me just ask you this, James. Why is the smaller business so the target? Is it because they feel like it's easier to get into? Is that what the deal is?
Yeah, basically it's an arms race. If you think about the Cold War days,
Sure.
you know, we outspent the Soviet Union, and small businesses usually are not capitalized the way big businesses are.
Right.
That makes them a easier, softer target for the hackers.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, let's talk about, you mentioned cost, so let's talk about the true cost of a cyber attack.
Well, sure. The first thing that usually comes into play is ransomware. Ransomware is a piece of software that they're going to deploy on your network that's going to wreak havoc. It's going to encrypt all of your data and lock you out of all your systems. And then, as the name implies, ransom, they ask for money. If you want access to your data, you want access to your systems, pay us some money. Now, your small hackers might ask for, say, $5,000. But the thing is, they work on a sliding scale. And these hackers, once they get into your network and have access to your information, they can figure out how much money you've got. If you've got an insurance policy, is there a copy of your policy in your email or in your downloads folder where you viewed it from your agent? Well, now they know what kind of insurance coverage you have. Is there a copy of a bank statement that you downloaded from your online banking? Or how about your QuickBooks data file, your company file? Either of those will tell them exactly how much money's in your bank account. So no
Wow.
surprise, that's exactly what they're going to ask for.
Wow. So it's very sophisticated then. So they're not just coming and asking for a random amount. They're checking out stuff and seeing how much money I can pay and adjusting their ask based upon that. Now you
Absolutely.
mentioned insurance, James. If I have insurance, I should be protected though from that, or at least from the financial damage of it.
Not entirely. So to start with, cyber insurance has become a lot harder to get. Many insurance companies aren't offering it anymore because the claims are expanding so rapidly. And if we think about insurance companies, they're actually not really in the business to pay claims. They have shareholders, they're there to make a profit. So these days, a full 51% of all claims are either being denied outright or underfunded. And unless you dot all your I's and cross all your T's and follow the conditions of your policy to the letter, they will deny that claim.
So my guess
Okay.
is that the conditions are not on the policy are pretty onerous.
They can be. Depending on the size of the policy, the conditions get more and more onerous.
Okay, fantastic. So let's move on now. And you say though that there are more than just the cost that most of us think of with ransomware. What is the second cost of a cyber attack?
Lost productivity is a huge hidden cost. And I'd like everyone to do a little exercise for me real quick. Here's it's time for a math quiz.
No,
So
James, when you asked me to do this, you didn't tell me there was going to be a math quiz. So hold
go
on, let
on,
me get a
man.
let me get my phone out here.
And
All right. So everyone get some kind of calculator. James is giving us a math quiz. All right. All right.
yeah,
Wait a minute. I got to get my calculator actually opened. Okay, got it.
for those following along, if you're on your phone, you've got a calculator. If you're on your computer, you've got a calculator. So just get out your calculator app, and I want you to divide your annual payroll by 2080. That's 2080.
Okay, so give me a chance
And
to
it,
do this. What if I'm just going to estimate because I don't know my exact annual payroll, but I know I can estimate it. So I'm going to do that. Divided by 2080. What is 2080 though?
that's the number of working hours in a year.
Okay, got it.
So what that's going to give you is your hourly cost of labor.
Okay.
So for every hour that you are down due to a cyber attack, you are paying this to your employees to not be able to work.
Wow. Wow, that's
That-
crazy.
yeah, and that's not your lost sales or other opportunity costs. That's just what you're paying in labor.
Now, so let me just would you say I'd be down for depending upon what it is, could I be down as much as 2 weeks or something? What would the average?
Yeah, absolutely. If you were down for 2 weeks, that's 80 hours, assuming your standard 40-hour a week. So just multiply that number by 80.
Well, that's a real cost of being shut down, and it's staggering.
Yeah, it's a huge number, and that's just your labor. We're not getting into any of the other costs yet.
So you had a story about you told me before we went live about a CPA. Tell me about that.
Sure thing. Our security team got contacted a while back by a CPA firm, and it was really weird because it was the middle of tax season. And I don't know about your CPA, but my CPA in the middle of tax season, they're not reaching out to anybody for anything. Their heads down. They got work to do, right? But they reached out because they had just received a letter from the IRS saying that they had been shut down. Their e-filing capability had been shut down due to excessive fraud. So, can you imagine a CPA? You're in the middle of tax season and your ability to file has just been turned off. It's
That's
crazy.
brutal. That's brutal. That's a bad day, right? I
That's a
mean,
very bad day.
that's a bad day. Now, James, um, in doing some research for this interview, I read that in most states now that you must notify everyone in your database if there is a breach. Is that true or not true?
Yes, that is correct. And at this point, pretty much every state has a rule like that where you must notify everyone when your network has been breached because their data could be stolen, could be out there on the dark web somewhere.
So, what's the next hidden cost of a cyber attack?
The next big one, which has really far reaching consequences, is the reputational damage. If you're hacked, it's a big black eye, right? You'll be getting a nonstop barrage of calls from your customers. Those same customers that you just had to notify that you just lost their information, right? Now, your local press might be involved. If your competitors get wind of it, of course, they're going to be trying to capitalize on it. Think about that CPA firm I just mentioned. If your CPA sent you a letter saying that they had been hacked and all of your confidential financial information was gone, was stolen, would you keep that firm?
No, no, and it really is a very, very frightening scenario, to be honest with you. I mean, it
Yeah, it
really
is.
is. You told me another story about a law firm, and it was really as shocking as the CPA firm. Tell me about that.
Yeah, same kind of thing. Highly reputable law firm. They got hacked. And of course, they had to inform their clients, opposing counsel, and the courts that they were hacked. They were completely locked out of the client's files. They couldn't proceed to trial. I mean, aside from just the embarrassment, their clients, of course, were just like, what are these guys doing? They couldn't do business for 2 weeks and had to reschedule court dates. Can you imagine making that call to the court and saying, "Yeah, we have to reschedule because we lost all the data"?
Yeah, and honestly, the what we talked about, just the 2 weeks, I did the calculation while you were, and it's a staggering number. Are there any other costs of a cyber attack, as if those weren't enough?
The list goes on, Dave. I mean, you've got all that embarrassment, you've got the reputation, people calling you stupid or irresponsible. I mean, if you just go look at the comments section on any internet news article about a breach, it's going to be full of people that are attacking the victim and asking things like, "What? Haven't these guys ever heard of a firewall?" and things like that. They're out there and they're pretty brutal. Brutal. You've got your loss of clients. You've got the potential for lawsuits, either individual lawsuits or in some cases, class action lawsuits. You've got the fees to handle the breach response. You've got fees for computer forensics. What happens if you get into forensics and the forensics company need your computers for 3 weeks? Does that mean you're offline for 3 weeks now? At which point do you say, well, we just need to buy new computers to get going again? Well, who pays for those?
Right.
What about your legal fees for handling that breach? If you're in a regulated industry, there's all kinds of government fines for noncompliance. And what happens if you never get your data back?
Yeah, I got to tell you, that's the one that I was thinking of, being in the intellectual property business that I'm in. That cost, if I couldn't get my files back, there's literally no way I could reproduce those files.
Exactly.
And I mean, that would be brutal. That'll be brutal. Now, by the way, everybody, we're not telling you these things to scare you, but we do think it is important that you understand what's going on out there, because we are going to talk about how you can protect yourself. So we are getting there. But James, I want to move on to AI. So AI is obviously dominating the news, and so talk a little bit about the how AI is impacting cybersecurity.
Well, sure. So one of the big things we're seeing now are deep fakes, which are nearly unrecognizable copies of real things. And here we have a photo of the
Right,
Pope. Big Papa's looking pretty fly there in that
man,
coat,
he sure
right?
is, man, he sure is. That's
Yeah.
really
So
funny. And so
yeah,
this is
it's
a
great.
deep fake. So this is very, very funny.
Yep. And you know, what's not funny is we've got deep fakes that are um, th- there's just some seriously bad stuff. So there's an application that allows you to fake a person's voice using a recording.
Wow.
So there's a true story of a mother who thought her daughter had been kidnapped because hackers had used a snippet of a voice conversation and used that to fake her voice.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely insane that they're going to those levels. And then we've got phishing, and that's not phishing like when I go out to the Outer Banks, but that's phishing with a PH. We've all seen the emails with their grammar problems and their misspellings. And now AI can take those really poorly written emails and make them look really good.
Mm. So we have an example of one here which looks very, very real. What if I call this phone number? So this is a one of these phishing emails. Um, it looks real. I mean, there's no spelling errors, and we've whited things out, right? So it doesn't exactly
Mhm.
look like. I mean, it looks real. And when you showed it to me, I said, "Yeah, that's a real email." So what happens if I call that phone number?
You're going to get the bad guys answering the phone, pretending to be Amazon support, and asking you for information. Could be payment information, could be your account credentials, things like that. And then they're going to use that to either commit fraud on your credit card account or something like to that effect, or to get into your actual Amazon account, place fake orders, send them overseas, things like that.
And what if I click on a link in that email?
A link might take you to a page that either
Right.
prompts you to log in which case you're actually giving your Amazon username and password to the bad guys. It's going to look just like the email, it's going to look very genuine. But if you're not very careful, they're going to fool you that way. Um, Also, that page could potentially be infected with some sort of malware. So, uh, you could then end up with something like ransomware or some other kind of malware on your computer.
Wow. Now, you mentioned computers, and again, in doing my research, I read that, and I couldn't believe that this was actually true. But is it true that there are legitimate websites, not fake websites, set up to look like the real thing, but legitimate websites from reputable companies where hackers actually embed viruses on legitimate websites? Is that possible?
Yes, it is. And recently there's been a big uptick in that. There's two ways that that happens. Number one is a hacker can hack into a legitimate company's website and insert something. But lots of websites carry advertisements.
Right.
And what the bad guys are doing a lot of times is they're working on the ad network side so that when an ad pops up, instead of being the normal ad, suddenly you've got something that looks like, oh, you have a virus, you have a support problem, your computer's going to crash, call this phone number,
Right.
go log into this website, and we'll fix it for you. All of which are scams.
Wow. Now, the other thing that these guys are doing, and they're getting very sophisticated, I think a lot of people know about the email phishing, but again, getting harder and harder to spot, especially as we're busy, right? So I'm
Mhm.
checking emails on my phone. I'm answering stuff right on my phone. I own my own company, so I'm busy, like a lot of the folks watching us here, and so it'd be easy to be fooled. But what they're doing now is texting, and we've got some examples
Mhm.
here. So,
Yeah, it's very much the same issue as the fake emails. It's a fake text, which will often contain a link, and the link will go to a web page or the link will go to an application. If you install that application, your device becomes infected. If you go to that
wait a
email,
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I thought you said in the previous with email, I needed to go fill out a form. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. I can, if I just click on a link in a text, that can infect my phone?
absolutely. Or, like I said earlier, it can go to a form that you have to fill out, but it can link directly to malware.
Wow. Wow. And so that means that they could get access to the data on my phone, and I do business as well as personal on my phone. I mean, this is an
Exactly.
so James, it sounds to me like this, as you call them, the new breed of cyber criminal has more ways than ever to attack us.
Yeah, they are always getting more sophisticated, right? But we are too. It's like I said earlier, there is an arms race going on between those who protect and those who try to destroy, you
Mm.
know?
Now, one of the things that you told me is that, and I want everyone to know this because I think this is a very, very important thing that they should know, is that most of us, at least me, I thought that if my phone was infected or my computer was infected, I would immediately know. Something would pop up immediately. But what you told me is that's not the way that this new breed is working, the more sophisticated cyber criminal, but rather that they'll put it something on my network and then not deploy it for weeks. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The new breed of cyber criminals, they will infiltrate your network and not do anything for weeks or months and wait for that ideal time to set off that ticking time bomb. Now, they can do that by planning some kind of virus or ransomware, but here's another quick story for you. And this one's hot off the presses. I literally just heard about this. A member of our community was involved in a real estate transaction. The hackers were already in the network. They were watching, they were waiting, and when it came time to wire the payment, the hackers stepped in and changed the wire transfer instructions. $750,000 was transferred to the hacker's offshore account. 750 grand, Dave, just gone. Just
Wow.
like that, gone.
Wow. That's crazy. So they wait until they monitor what's going on and they wait till the ideal time and then they hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's crazy. What? So there was a quote, and I've seen it a lot, and it's more true than ever today. And I'm sure you know what it is. It was by Robert Mueller, the former
Mhm.
director of the FBI. What was that quote?
There are only two types of companies, those who have been hacked and those who are going to be hacked.
Yeah, and it's more true than ever before. That's an old quote, but
Mhm.
it's happening. So James, let's move on then. We know what they can do. We know that they're sophisticated. What do we do to protect ourselves?
Three things: protect, detect, respond. First off, protect. That means making your business less attractive to the criminals. Think about it. If you and I are out on the savannah and we're being chased by a lion, I don't have to outrun the lion. I have to outrun you, right?
Right.
You do that by ensuring you have the most up to date cybersecurity protections, protocols, technology, and comprehensive training for your employees and yourself. You make yourself a harder target than the next potential victim. But here's the truth, Dave, and most companies aren't going to tell you this. If a sophisticated cyber criminal wants to infiltrate your network, they will find a way.
Now, I appreciate the honesty, but again, let me ask you, what can we do then?
Well, early detection is crucial. Detection is the most important thing of the big three of that protection, detection, response. Because rapid fire detection is vital to minimizing the damage and shutting down those hackers as quickly as possible. Again, if an IT company tells you they can prevent you from being attacked, they're not telling the truth. That's why we invest continuously in the most up to date and powerful detection technologies available.
So you just said that detect, excuse me, was the most important phase. So I just want to make sure I have this clear. So protect, you want to do everything you can to make sure
Mhm.
that you're not an attractive company for a cyber criminal. But then you said detection is the most crucial. But talk about the third of the big three. And I've been listening. You said it was response. So tell us about that.
Right. Rapid response begins with that early detection. Once we detect a threat, our sophisticated software and our security operations team can quickly determine, is it false alarm? Is it a real problem? And eliminate that problem.
Mm.
And that fast response means less damage, or in some cases, no damage and no negative consequences.
Okay, so far we've covered number one, the biggest lie, and that is that our companies are or organizations are too small for a cyber criminal to care about. You explain why it's the opposite of that. We also talked about the true cost of a cyber attack, which goes way beyond paying a ransom. That was really eye opening. And then we had that discussion about AI and how it is really emboldened the cyber criminals and given them more tools and make it to infiltrate our network. And again, why the small companies are the prime feeding ground for that. And then you talked about why detection is the most important part of protecting your business from cyber criminals. Is there anything else we need to know?
Unfortunately, if, or as Mueller said, when your business falls victim to a cyber attack, you'll be blamed. You're going to take the blame. There's no sympathy for a hacked business. You're going to be labeled as irresponsible or stupid or whatever or lazy. You may be questioned. You may be investigated. What did you do to prevent this from happening? You may need to notify your clients about their data being exposed. You may lose files, delay products, and delay projects, be unable to deliver services. If the news gets hold of it or your competitors get wind of it, they're going to have a heyday. You've got all the costs for restoring the data. It's just a mess. It's just a total mess. And unfortunately, a lot of small businesses just do not survive this onslaught.
So, what's the light, James, at the end of this seemingly very dark tunnel?
Well, it's like I touched on a little while ago. While the new breed of cyber criminal is becoming more sophisticated, so are we.
I
You
love that.
can
I
protect
love that.
yourself.
I love that. So let's dive into that. I love that. I love that. So let's dive into that. How can our viewers protect their organizations so they're not the next victim of cybercrime?
Sure. Three simple steps. Step one, you need to have a threat assessment.
Okay.
That's going to show what's lacking in your security right now. Are your systems backed up? Where do you have risk in your environment? This needs to be a third party independent assessment. You cannot proofread your own work. You cannot have your IT people or your IT company proofread their own work. It needs to be a neutral third party. This is why accountants have adopted audits for decades. It needs to be a third party who's going to look at it with fresh eyes and determine where the issues are. Step two, once you've done that assessment, create an action plan and implement it. Based on what's discovered, you're going to have a roadmap of how to protect yourself if and when that attack happens. So this prevents you from being an easy target. And then third, maintenance. Security is not set it and forget it. You just don't install a firewall and then ignore it for the next 5 years. You've got to maintain your security, stay up to date on both the security tools and training for your employees, because if you don't, you can rest assured the attackers, they're staying up to date.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's not just training for employees. I think it's training for us as owners.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, for sure. So how can someone watching get your help?
Well, for those watching today, I'd like to give you all that first step, the cybersecurity risk assessment.
Now, before you tell, that's fantastic. But before you tell us about that, is there anyone who this cybersecurity risk assessment is not for?
Yeah, there's going to be a few cases. I mean, if you've got less than about 10 computers, then it's probably not going to make the most sense for you. Our methodology uses some statistical samples and data points and all that good stuff. To be effective, if you're smaller than that, it's probably not going to be as effective.
Okay.
But if you're someone who fears putting their current cybersecurity company or IT department to the test, then I can't help you. We can't live with our heads in the sand. And so if
Right.
you're afraid to test, then it's no different from folks who are afraid of going to the doctor because they're afraid they're going to get bad news. Well,
Right.
that just makes the bad news worse when it comes later, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Great analogy,
And
actually.
yeah, and finally, if you just don't feel like it's important to protect your business from cyber criminals, if you don't buy into all this stuff, if you're still part of the "oh, we're too small," then okay, there's no point in doing an assessment. But don't say I didn't warn you.
No,
I'll tell you, I'll
I'd
tell
say,
you something.
James, I got to say, you warned us.
Well,
Yeah.
well, Dave, the folks that just lost the $750,000,
Yeah.
they didn't think they needed the assessment.
Yeah. I guess most people probably think that they don't need it until it's too late, until they need it. Right.
Exactly.
So how exactly does this risk assessment work?
That's a pretty straightforward process. We start with a 15-minute phone call
Okay.
and we discuss your company and determine if the assessment is the right path for you. And we'll tell you all about how it works, and then we'll book a second appointment if we decide that that's the right step for you. That next appointment, we will actually dig a little deeper into your company, how you do business, who you do business with, and actually begin conducting the assessment with that. And then finally, we'll have a follow up third meeting where we will present our findings and we'll show you where your risks are and where any gaps are. So when that assessment is complete, you're going to know if you and your employees' login credentials are being sold on the dark web, which I can practically guarantee you they are. You're going to know if your IT systems are truly secured. You're going to know if your IT solutions like your firewalls and your antivirus are actually doing their job. And you're going to know what kinds of data and systems that the bad guys are going to have easy access to if you're breached.
Mm, wow. Anything else?
Well,
That's pretty good, to be honest with you. Now, just to be clear, there's no charge for this, correct? I think you said you're going to give it to everybody. So I want to make sure that's correct, right?
yes, absolutely. We are giving away that third party assessment for
Okay.
anyone here attending Small Business Tech Day.
Fantastic. So let's show people how they can schedule this. And all you guys got to do is go open up a new browser window, very simple, and go to amfrontier.net/15. That's it, amfrontier.net/15. You'll be taken to a very simple page. You're going to select a time for your 15-minute consultation, and that's all you need to do. So open up a new browser window and take care of that right now. Now, James, the next question I have for you is, and what happens um, after the assessment?
Well, the assessment's yours, and what you
Okay.
do with it, it's whatever you want to do. You can print it out and hang it on the wall if you like. But but after the assessment, you're going to make one of three decisions. You're going to either be one of those people that does nothing and hopes that things are going to be okay. And I'm here to tell you that hope isn't a plan. Okay,
Right.
you're going to take our findings and source another cybersecurity company to help you, or you're going to discuss working with us to help you.
Fantastic. And so let me ask you one other question. Why should someone schedule their 15-minute initial call now?
Well, there's no, I'm not Vince out here trying to sell the sham wow. There's no limited supply. There's no the price is going up or anything like that. Of course there's some limitations. We don't have unlimited time. But the real reason is you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable today. You could be hacked today. Maybe you've already been hacked and they're already in your network. So I want people to be able to sleep well at night. I want people to know that they're doing the right things to protect their business, their employees, their clients, their livelihood from this new breed of cyber criminals.
Okay, perfect. So again, to schedule your 15-minute initial call, all you need to do is open up a new browser window and go to amfrontier.net/15. That's amfrontier.net/15. Now, James, the next thing I want to ask you is you also told me that in addition to uh, giving away the cybersecurity risk assessment, you also have additional gifts for folks that are participating in Small Business Tech Day. So let's talk about those.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in addition to the risk assessment, we're going to give you a free dark web scan that's going to look for your personal credentials and employee passwords out on the dark web. If you don't know what the dark web is, it's a place where all the bad guys go to buy and sell this type of information. And you can engage in pretty much any type of criminal activity out there.
Wow.
We're also going to give you a special report entitled How to Create, Manage, and Remember Hacker Proof Passwords. Passwords are difficult, and everything's protected with a password. Bad guys get your passwords, you're going to have a bad day.
Mhm.
And finally, a second report titled Seven Simple Things You Can Do to Protect Yourself from Bank Fraud.
Oh, that's
So,
fantastic. And again, all of this is free. And I just want to make sure that there's no cost for this, and there's no obligation. So if I do this with you, there's no obligation for me to do anything else with you. Correct? I just want to make sure that that's clear.
yep, no obligation at all.
Okay, so all you need to do is open up a new browser window, go to amfrontier.net/15. That's amfrontier.net/15. You'll be scheduling your initial 15-minute call. That's all it takes to get started. So don't wait, take action now and do that. So, James, how much time commitment is there for viewers who schedule the call now? We know about the 15 minutes, but what is, listen, I'm really busy. And so is everyone watching. So what is going to be my personal time commitment on this?
It's going to be about 2 hours total. So we've got
Okay.
our 15-minute initial phone call. We're going to spend about 45 minutes on the follow-up call, digging into your business, your needs, your industry, and those things. And then once the report is complete, we're going to spend about an hour going over the report to give you your findings. So most of the time investment is really going to be on our side in getting the assessment done, and about 2 hours total for your investment.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned was that if we have a current IT company, if we're afraid to let our current IT company know that we're doing this, whether it's internal or external, um, led to a question: should we let our whatever, if we have a cybersecurity company right now, should we let them know that we're doing this? Should we let our internal folks that know that we're doing this or not?
I'm going to say no. You
Okay.
don't want to tell them because they should catch that something is going on. When we're doing this assessment, we're probing your defenses and there should be alarm bells going off. So it's a
Mm,
really big red flag if they don't catch it.
mm.
And when you think about it, the cyber criminals, they're not going to pick up the phone and call your IT department, your
Sure.
IT company and say, "Hey, we're going to launch an attack next weekend. Just thought you'd like to know."
Got it.
That's
Got
not
it.
going to happen.
Got it.
So if these teams are doing their job and doing what you're paying them to do, they shouldn't care. They shouldn't worry about it. They should detect it. And remember, if it all looks good and it all comes back clean on the report, we're going to tell you. And we're going to recommend that you stick with your current firm because they're doing the things they're supposed to do. But you owe it to yourself and your employees and your clients to ensure that you're protected.
Absolutely. So I know that the assessment is free. I know that all of these bonus gifts are free. And again, everybody, to schedule your assessment, simply go to amfrontier.net/15. But what is going to be my investment after this? Right. So let's say you find something or you find numerous things. What's it going to cost me afterwards?
Well, it might not cost you anything. I mean, if we don't find any problems, you're good to go, right? But the investment to secure your network depends completely on your network and the problems that we find in the assessment.
Okay.
So if the test comes back clean, great. But if you've got holes big enough to drive a truck through, yeah, you're going to have a little bit higher investment, right? It's only once we do the assessment, then we can
That
evaluate
makes
what
sense.
the
Sure.
investment is going to be to protect you. But remember, cybersecurity doesn't have to break the bank. It's the hackers that are out there trying to break the bank.
Wow. That's so true. So I've got one final question for you. You're doing the risk assessment, which has a $550 value, and you have real costs in that. You're giving away all of this stuff for free. There's no cost, there's no obligation. Aside from the obvious fact, right, which we're all in business, we all understand that you're trying to earn our business. Aside from that fact, James, why are you doing all of this for free?
What's the catch, huh?
Yeah, what's the catch?
There's no catch, Dave. The cybersecurity risk assessment is free, and you're right. We'd love to earn your business, but there's no obligation, no pressure to work with us, no high pressure sales. Our mission is to protect people's livelihoods for business owners, for their employees. It's simple as that. And this is the first step to doing so. And you're right, we do have costs. This is a third party assessment. We are not the ones doing the assessment. We are the ones paying a third party to do this assessment for you and for us. We're just managing the meetings. But
Well,
if I'm going to live up to our mission and protect people's livelihoods, I need to do this, whether they're customers of mine or not.
wow, that's absolutely fantastic, James. This has been fantastic, so enlightening. And I really appreciate the knowledge and the stories and really showing us what's going on out there as far as cyber crime goes and what we can do to protect ourselves. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Great seeing you again. Great talking to you.
All right, everybody, don't go anywhere because there's still a lot more happening on Small Business Tech Day.
Wow, that was great. I love seeing business owners helping other business owners, and you have got to take them up on what they're offering. If you are at all curious to know if you are at risk or even have a little doubt, this is a no-brainer. At the very least, you will know after the assessment if you're protected from the new breed of cyber criminals, and it's free. After this next quick break, we have a few words from our sponsors, and then it's time for the nice shark, Robert Herjavec. He is a world-famous entrepreneur, a cybersecurity businessman, an investor, and a Shark TV personality. This enthusiastic celebrity has agreed to divulge his shark secrets for vetting opportunities and risks in his own business to make strategic decisions. So come right back.